안녕하세요 여러분 and welcome back to my channel. I'm sorry I have not been releasing a lot of weekly Korean videos for a very long time. Actually, I haven't made a single weekly Korean video since the beginning of the year. I am so sorry. Especially to those of you who rely on my weekly Korean videos for your weekly dose of Korean learning inspiration. I feel like lately I've been channeling all my Korean learning energy into preparing for the Koreathon workshops, which are happening literally next week. I'm so excited. And if you guys are new on this channel, you don't know what I'm talking about, all the links are in the description box, so check it out. These are going to be live Korean workshops together with me here in London. But yes, because I've been so focused on preparing for those workshops, I feel like I have been wrongfully neglecting my weekly Korean series, and that really needs to stop. So today I am ready to restart my weekly Korean schedule. I feel like lately in our weekly Korean videos we have been talking a lot about very complicated Korean topics, and with the new year kind of settling in, I feel like we should go back to the basics. So from the title of the video, you guys have realized that we will be talking about question words today. And without further ado, let's get straight into it. Today I decided to give you a quick, comprehensive overview of all Korean question words I could possibly think of. I'm gonna try to keep this video as short and as concise as I can. For the sake of that, I have created a blog post specifically for this video, and the link you can find in the description box. You can click on it and this video is actually embedded into the blog post, so you can watch my video and look at more examples and more explanations in a written form so that we can save time here in this video. You're welcome, guys. Right, so the question word that we're gonna be talking about first is probably the most used Korean question word of all times. And no, it is not what, and no, it is not how, it is why. Where? Yes, where is a Korean version of the English question word why, and it is spelled like this with the o and e. So where is a very common Korean question word. Us foreigners hear it a lot in Korean dramas and we're all fairly familiar with it. So let's see how we can use it in a sentence. In English, all question words always come at the beginning of the sentence. And in Korean, sometimes that is true, but a lot of the times you can kind of mix up the order and you can put question words at the end of the sentence, in the middle, or the beginning. So with where, you can put it at the beginning of the sentence saying something like 왜 늦게 왔어요? And if you're speaking to a friend and you want to be a lot more casual, you can literally ask 왜 늦게 왔어? But that's only with friends who you know you can be casual with. Otherwise, 왜 늦게 왔어요? And this question means why are you late? Why did you come late? Why did you arrive late? With that said, you can also put 왜 kind of in the middle of the sentence. For example, 전화 왜 안 받았어요? Why didn't you pick up your phone? Or directly translated, the phone why not picked up? I've thrown this sentence in just to show you guys that you can play around with the structure of the sentence a little bit in Korean. You still need to have the verb at the very end. That's a must. Moving on to the second question word, and I actually think it is the most commonly used one in English, and that is what. And in Korean, it is 뭐, and it is written like this. Interestingly, from what I heard, this way of writing this question word is actually a shortened way of the more formal question word for what, which is what. And both of them mean the same thing. Both of them can be used as a question for what. However, if you want to be really formal, I would suggest using what. So if you want to ask someone's occupation, you would ask 직업이 무엇입니까? 직업 is occupation. 직업이 무엇입니까? This is a very polite way of asking someone what their occupation is. However, when you want to be sort of polite, but you don't need to be super extremely polite, you want to be casually polite, you can just say 직업이 뭐예요? Or 이름이 뭐예요? 짐이 뭐예요? Question word number 3 is where. And in Korean, it is 어디. Because this question word asks about location, usually it gets paired up with a location marking particle like 에 or 에서, which is a particle that I myself struggled the most because I just confuse it with 에 all the time. It's okay, guys, we all make mistakes. But yeah, generally this is a very simple question word which a lot of the times goes in the middle of the sentence. So you would usually put the location that you're asking about at the beginning. So if you want to know where the bathroom is, you would ask 화장실이 어디에 있어요? 화장실이 어디에 있어요? Place, where, plus location particle 있어요. Or actually, it doesn't even have to be place. It can be any object. So 선생님이 어디에 있어요? 책이 어디에 있어요? You can be asking about location of anything, not necessarily a place. Question word number 4 is when, which in Korean is 언제. And this question word, like in English, is usually placed at the beginning of the sentence. I know that a lot of you guys are always wondering when am I gonna go to Korea, so if you want to ask me that in Korean, you would say 언제 한국에 갈 거예요. 언제 한국에 갈 거예요? When am I gonna go to Korea? When are you gonna go to Korea? Is the direct translation of this sentence. Next up, we have a bit of a more confusing question word, which is who, and in Korean it is 누구. It is confusing in multiple ways. First of all, a lot of you guys seem to struggle with Korean pronunciation of the letter nian when it is at the beginning of the sentence, and sometimes it does have a stronger d kind of sound, not a n kind of sound. So it is not 누구, it is more of 누구, 누가. I'm not a complete native speaker when it comes to pronunciation, but I do try to kind of listen to the way Koreans pronounce their words, and this is a little pronunciation hack that I noticed. Another issue that a lot of people seem to have with this question word is when do we use 누구 and when do we use 누가? And what is 누가? Where does it come from? It actually is a shortened version of 누구가, so you just put it together, 누가. And I'm not gonna go into the difference between 누구 and 누가 today. I feel like that requires an entire separate lesson because it can get a little complicated because it does have to do with our favorite EGA particles. Gosh, did I not miss them. If you want me guys to make a video about that, I will go through the struggle of figuring out how to explain this to you, and I will make a video about it. But to give you an example how to use the question word 누구, which stands for who, let's just use one of the simplest questions that we can make. Who are you? 누구예요? That's it. It's that simple. If you want to be a bit more polite, you can actually ask 누구세요? Just to give you a quick example of using 누가, it is used in the exact same way, and you can ask a question like 누가 공부를 안 좋아해요? Who doesn't like studying? Is something that I would personally ask. A lot of you would probably say I don't. Right, question word number 6. Ooh, we're moving along. Is probably the cutest Korean question word, and that is 어떻게, which means how. Interestingly, it can actually be a standalone expression. It can be used both in a negative and a positive connotation. So if something really, really good happened, you're like, oh, 엄마, 어떡해? Like, oh my god, what do I do? This is so amazing. But then if something really bad happens, like an accident, you're like, oh, 어떡해? Like, oh my god, what am I gonna do? It can be a standalone expression, but it can also be a simple question word of how. And the simplest example sentence that I can think of is, how do I do this? Which in Korean would be 어떻게 해요? Or if I'm going somewhere and I want to know how to get there, I would ask, how do I go? Or how do I get to a certain place? So if I want to go to Seoul, I would ask, 서울에 어떻게 가요? Question word number 7 brings us to a group of question words in Korean, which can be at first confusing to foreigners. And this group of words describes the question of which or what kind. So the first word that actually means which in Korean is 어느. And one of the most common usages of it is to ask which country is someone from. And that would be 어느 나라 사람이에요. 어느, which, 나라, country, 사람, person, 이에요, is. In English, it actually means what country are you from, which can be a little confusing to beginners because they see what and they see 어느 and they're like, oh, 어느 means what? It doesn't. It means which. The next two question words can mean which, but only in a rough, indirect translation. Most of the time, they would mean what kind, and these words are 무슨 and 어떤. And the difference between these words is quite subtle, but the way I like to think about it is that 무슨 has to do mostly with objects and 어떤 has to do more with like human things like personality or characteristics or actually a person. So if you want to use the word 무슨, you can use it in a lot of very common Korean expressions like 무슨 말이에요? What are you trying to say? Or 무슨 뜻이에요? What is the meaning of this? 무슨 말, 무슨 뜻? Or you can actually make it a lot more simple and you can ask 무슨 책이에요? 무슨 카메라예요? Like what kind of camera is it? What kind of book is it? So you see, it has mostly to do with objects. But when we're asking about people, so like what kind of person is this person? You would ask 그 사람 어떤 사람이에요? So what sort of person is this person? Or what kind of person do you want to be? 어떤 사람 되고 싶어요? What kind of person do you want to become? That's probably the main difference between these two. Lastly, I'm quickly gonna go over question words that have to do with quantities, which are 몇 and 얼마. 몇 is usually used together with counters, which I went over in like the very beginning Weekly Korean episodes. Counters, we have them in English, we just don't call them counters, but basically what they mean is they embody the thing you're trying to count. So if you're trying to count things, the counter would be 개. If you're trying to count people, the count would be 명. So if you're coming to a restaurant and the waiter is asking you how many people are there going to be, they would ask 몇 명이에요? How many people are there? 몇 명. If someone's gonna ask you about things, they would ask 몇 개. The thing that can be confusing about 몇 for English speakers would be questions like 몇 시예요 or 몇 살이에요. Those things in English would translate to how old are you and what time is it? And both of them have different question words in English, what and how. And 몇 doesn't mean any of them. In direct translation, 몇 시예요 means how many hours is there, which obviously translates to what time is it. And then 몇 살이에요 means how many years do you have, or of how many years are you. The counters that you can use for this are limitless, basically. And 얼마 you use mostly when you are asking about a quantity of something. 얼마예요? How much is this? How much does this cost? 값이 얼마예요? What's the value of this? I know that there's actually a word that derives from 얼마 and it is 얼마나. I don't really want to talk about 얼마나 because I feel like I might need to dedicate a separate episode to it. Alright, so that is it for today. I hope this wasn't too much. I hope this was interesting and educational for you all. Let me know if you have any questions, and all of you native speakers and Korean tutors, please let me know if I made any mistakes, if I explained something wrong, or if I missed something. So yeah, the comment section is all yours. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful week. I hope you're all staying safe and healthy, and I'll see you all later this week. Bye! 안녕!